The grand chamber of the Galactic Council rumbled with laughter. The sound echoed off the crystalline walls, a mixture of different alien species expressing their amusement in various ways. Some clicked their mandibles, others released high-pitched whistles, and a few rumbled deep in their chest cavities. James Wilson stood at the center of the circular platform, his face calm despite the mockery surrounding him. His gray diplomatic uniform remained crisp and neat, hands clasped behind his back in a posture that spoke of military training. The holographic display behind him showed Earth's latest achievement, the ESS Breakthrough, its obsidian surface seeming to drink in the light around it. "You expect us to believe," Grand Overseer Marcus said, his crystalline form shimmering with barely contained amusement, "that humans have mastered seventh-dimensional travel, when your species barely managed stable fusion power 50 years ago." Another wave of laughter swept through the chamber. Wilson took a deep breath. "The Earth Science Division has achieved what we claim. The ESS Breakthrough represents 30 years of research into dimensional physics. We come before the Council today not to boast, but to share our discovery." A delegate from the silicon-based Thorian species leaned forward, their faceted eyes reflecting the chamber's light. "Humans cannot even grasp basic fifth-dimensional mathematics. Your species still thinks in linear time." The delegate's translator conveyed their tone as condescending. "Perhaps," Wilson replied, his voice steady, "that is exactly why we succeeded where others failed. We approached the problem without preconceptions." Grand Overseer Marcus raised one crystalline appendage, silencing the chamber. "Earth's Ambassador Wilson, while we appreciate your enthusiasm, this council has existed for 50,000 years. We have overseen the development of countless species. None have achieved stable seventh-dimensional travel. The energy requirements alone would tear your vessel apart." Wilson touched a control on his wrist device. The hologram behind him changed, showing complex equations and design specifications. "We solved the energy problem by thinking outside conventional parameters. Our scientists discovered that by approaching seventh-dimensional space from a specific mathematical angle, we cooled." "Enough," a reptilian delegate interrupted, scales flushing with colors of dismissal. "This is waste of Council's time. Humans always think they can skip steps of civilization development. First faster than light travel, now this fantasy." Wilson's expression remained neutral, but his eyes hardened slightly. "We offer proof. The ESS Breakthrough stands ready for demonstration." "The Council has heard enough," Grand Overseer Marcus declared. "Earth's claims are noted but dismissed as unsubstantiated. This session is." A junior aide rushed into the chamber, breaking all protocol. The crystalline being's surface pulsed with urgent patterns as it approached Marcus. The Grand Overseer's form clouded briefly as he received the message. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" Marcus demanded. Wilson allowed himself a small smile. "I believe, Grand Overseer, that your long-range sensors have just detected our vessel arriving. Not through conventional space, but through a controlled seventh-dimensional corridor." The chamber's massive display screens activated automatically. They showed the ESS Breakthrough materializing near the Council station, but it didn't appear with the usual flash of a jump drive or the distortion of a warp field. Instead, reality itself seemed to fold around the ship, as if space was a piece of paper being carefully unfolded to reveal what lay between its creases. The laughter had stopped. Complete silence filled the chamber as thousands of alien delegates watched the impossible happen before their eyes. The ship's sensors registered on their instruments, but the readings made no sense to their understanding of physics. "Impossible," Marcus whispered, his crystalline form clouding with confusion. Wilson straightened his uniform, though it needed no adjustment. "On behalf of Earth, I repeat our offer to share this technology with the Galactic Council. We believe that advancement should benefit all species, not just humanity. The only question is, are you ready to learn?" The silence in the chamber grew deeper. Humanity had not just surprised the galactic community. They had shattered assumptions held for millennia. And this was only the beginning. Deep within Earth's most secure facility, hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica, Project Director Anna Thompson walked through the gleaming white corridors. Her footsteps echoed against the metal floors as she made her way to the main observation deck. Today was different from all other days. Today, they would reveal their greatest achievement to the universe. The massive circular chamber opened before her, its walls made entirely of reinforced transparent panels. Below, suspended in a cradle of advanced technology, hung the ESS Breakthrough. The ship looked deceptively simple from the outside. A sleek, black vessel that seemed to absorb all light that touched it. But its true complexity lay in what couldn't be seen. "Final systems check complete," Director said Technical Chief Mark Evans, his voice calm despite the historic moment. He stood at the main control panel, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "The seventh dimensional core is stable. All power systems are running at optimal levels." Anna nodded, her eyes fixed on the ship. "How are the crew's readings?" "All 20 crew members show normal vital signs. Commander Stone reports they're ready to begin the demonstration sequence whenever we give the word." The observation deck buzzed with activity. 50 of Earth's brightest minds monitored various stations, each responsible for a different aspect of the revolutionary vessel. They had all sacrificed years of their lives for this moment, working in complete secrecy. "Put me through to the bridge," Anna said, touching her communication device. The main screen lit up, showing Commander Robert Stone's face. He sat in the command chair, surrounded by his bridge crew. "Director Thompson," Stone acknowledged with a slight smile. "We're ready down here." "Excellent." Anna turned to address the entire room. "Everyone, this is the moment we've worked for. The Galactic Council may laugh at us now, but in 1 hour, we'll show them what humanity is truly capable of." The ship's outer surface began to shimmer, creating an effect like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But this wasn't heat. It was reality itself bending around the vessel's hull. The special alloy they had developed allowed the ship to exist partially in multiple dimensions at once. "Beginning power-up sequence," Mark announced. "Seventh dimensional core spinning up to quarter power." Numbers and graphs flashed across the screens. To anyone else, they would have looked like nonsense, but to the team gathered here, they told a story of the impossible becoming possible. The ship wasn't just going to travel through space, it was going to travel through the fabric of reality itself. "Core stability at 100%, a young engineer called out. "We're getting clean readings across all dimensional barriers." Anna watched as the ship's hull began to pulse with a soft, blue light. The effect was beautiful, like watching waves of energy flow across the surface of a black ocean. They had discovered that the seventh dimension wasn't just another direction of travel. It was a fundamental layer of reality that connected all points in spacetime. "Commander Stone," Anna said, her voice steady despite her excitement, "you have permission to begin the demonstration sequence." On the screen, Stone nodded to his crew. "Initiating seventh dimensional fold. All hands, prepare for dimensional transition." The air around the ship began to ripple. Most of the crew had seen this before in tests, but it still filled them with awe. The ESF Breakthrough wasn't tearing a hole in space like conventional ships. It was gently folding reality around itself, slipping between the creases of existence. "Dimensional barriers holding steady," Mark reported. "All systems nominal." "She's ready, Director." Hannah took a deep breath. Years of work, countless failures, and endless nights of calculation had led to this moment. The ship before them represented humanity's greatest achievement, not just in technology, but in imagination. They had done what the ancient races thought impossible, not through brute force or vast resources, but through innovative thinking and determination. "Send the signal to Ambassador Wilson," she ordered. "Tell him we're ready to make history." The ESS Breakthrough's hull glowed brighter, its surface now rippling like liquid metal. In moments, it would demonstrate to the galaxy that humanity had not just caught up to the older races, they had surpassed them. And they had done it not with aggression or arrogance, but with the pure desire to understand the universe in ways no one had before. The emergency alarms blared through Earth's Defense Command Center. Red lights flashed across worried faces as military personnel rushed to their stations. On the main screen, hundreds of ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their design was unmistakable. The feared warships of the Centauri Alliance. "Report," General Thomas barked, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. "Sir, we're counting over 300 Centauri vessels," a young officer responded, her fingers flying over the control panel. 5 dreadnoughts, 20 heavy cruisers, and, sir, they're deploying their planet killer ships. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what Centauri planet killers could do. They had watched the recordings of other worlds falling to these weapons, entire planets cracking apart under their power. "They're broadcasting a message," another officer announced. "Playing it now." The main screen flickered, showing the image of High Commander Drake of the Centauri Alliance. His metallic skin gleamed under the lights, and his artificial eyes glowed with cold determination. "People of Earth," Drake's voice boomed through the speakers. "Your recent display of seventh-dimensional technology has been deemed a threat to galactic stability. The Centauri Alliance cannot allow an unpredictable species to possess such power. You have 1 Earth hour to surrender your technology and submit to our authority. Refuse, and we will demonstrate why we have ruled this sector for 10,000 years." General Thomas pressed a button on his command chair. "Get me the ESS breakthrough. Now." The screen split, showing Commander Stone's face alongside Drake's ultimatum. The ESS breakthrough was currently docked at the lunar base, preparing for its next demonstration. "Commander Stone," General Thomas spoke clearly, "you've seen the situation. How fast can your ship be ready?" Stone's expression remained calm, a stark contrast to the tension in the command center. "We're already running pre-launch sequences, sir. The 7th-dimensional core is hot and stable. We can move in 10 minutes. You have 5, the general replied. "You're authorized to show them everything the ship can do. Just try not to start an interstellar war if you can help it." Stone nodded. "Understood, sir. Permission to speak freely?" "Granted." "They're not here because they're afraid of us being unpredictable," Stone said, his eyes hardening. "They're here because for the first time in their history, someone has surpassed their technology. They're afraid of becoming irrelevant." The general allowed himself a small smile. "Then show them why they're right to be afraid, Commander. But remember, we're better than them. No unnecessary destruction." As the communication ended, the Centauri ships began moving into attack formation. Their energy readings spiked as weapon systems powered up. The planet killers moved to strategic positions, their massive forms casting shadows across space itself. In the lunar dock, the ESS breakthrough came to life. Its black hull began to pulse with energy as the 7th-dimensional core spun up to full power. The dock's sensors could barely track the ship as it began to phase between dimensional planes. "Sir," an officer called out, "the Centauri fleet is charging their main weapons. They're not waiting for their deadline." General Thomas straightened in his chair. "Send to all Earth forces. Do not engage. Let the breakthrough handle this, and get me a direct line to Ambassador Wilson at the Galactic Council. They need to see what happens when you cornered humanity." The ESS breakthrough lifted off from the lunar surface, its hull now shimmering with waves of impossible light. To the Centauri sensors, it must have looked like a hole in reality itself, a ship that existed in dimensions their technology couldn't even detect. Commander Stone's voice came through clear and confident. "ESS breakthrough to Earth Command. We are engaging the Centauri fleet. Remember this moment, not as the day humanity proved its power, but as the day we proved our wisdom." The ship accelerated, but not in any direction the Centauri fleet could understand. It moved through dimensions that their most advanced sensors couldn't detect, preparing to show the galaxy why humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to imagine beyond the impossible. The crisis had begun, and with it, the galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating the human race. The bridge of the ESS Breakthrough hummed with quiet intensity as Commander Stone watched the Centauri fleet spread out before them. Through the main viewport, their ships looked like angry wasps, their metal hulls gleaming with threatening energy signatures. "All stations, report," Stone ordered, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds they faced. "Seventh dimensional core at full power," his engineer replied. "Ready to execute pattern Omega on your command." The tactical officer spoke next. "Sir, the Centauri ships are locking weapons. Their energy readings are off the charts. Those planet killers alone could crack Earth like an egg." Stone nodded, remembering his orders. "Show them everything, but avoid unnecessary destruction." He pressed a button on his command chair. "This is Commander Stone of the ESS Breakthrough to Centauri Fleet. Your weapons cannot harm what they cannot truly see. Stand down, and let's discuss this like civilized beings." High Commander Drake's laughter filled the communication channels. Brave words from a single ship facing an armada. "Your primitive understanding of dimensional travel cannot match our 5-dimensional weapon systems. This is your final warning." Stone looked at his crew, 20 of Earth's finest, each chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to think beyond conventional limits. "Begin pattern Omega. Let's show them what humanity has really achieved." The ESS Breakthrough's hull began to change. Not in the physical sense, it was shifting through dimensional planes. The ship didn't just move up or down, left or right. It moved in directions that the human mind couldn't naturally comprehend, but their technology had mastered. On the Centauri flagship, alarms began blaring. Their sensors, designed to track up to 6-dimensional movement, showed only static. The human vessel seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere at once. "Impossible." Drake's voice cracked with the first hint of fear. "All ships, open fire. Destroy that vessel." The space around the ESS Breakthrough lit up with energy weapons. Beams of destructive force that could vaporize mountains passed harmlessly through the ship's location. But the ship wasn't dodging. It simply existed in a dimensional plane where those weapons had no meaning. "Sir," the tactical officer reported with a hint of pride, "their weapons are passing through us like we're not even here. The 7th dimensional shift is working perfectly." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Begin Phase 2. Let's demonstrate why humanity's achievement changes everything." The ESS Breakthrough moved, not forward or backward, but through the layers of reality itself. To the watching Centauri fleet, it must have looked like magic. One moment their target was in front of them, the next it was behind their lines, then above, then seemingly inside their own ships, but existing in a dimension they couldn't touch. "What sorcery is this?" Drake's voice had lost all its previous arrogance. "Our sensors can't lock on. The ship appears in multiple locations simultaneously." Stone's voice remained calm as he explained. "This isn't sorcery, High Commander. This is science you haven't imagined yet. The 7th dimension isn't just another direction. It's a fundamental layer of reality that connects all points in space-time. We're not moving through your space. We're moving through the space between spaces." To demonstrate, the breakthrough passed straight through the hull of a Centauri planet killer, not by breaking it or teleporting. The ship simply existed in a dimension where the physical barriers of the lower dimensions held no meaning. The crew watched in amazement as their sensors showed the true scope of what they were achieving. They weren't just flying past the Centauri defenses, they were rewriting the rules of what was possible in space warfare. "Final phase," Stone ordered. "Show them our defensive capabilities." The Breakthrough's hull pulsed with energy. Suddenly, every weapon in the Centauri fleet lost their target lock. Their most advanced targeting systems couldn't track a ship that existed partially in dimensions they couldn't even detect. "Stop." Drake's voice had changed from commanding to pleading. How is this possible? Our scientists said this level of dimensional manipulation would tear any ship apart." That's because you tried to force your way through dimensional barriers, Stone explained. We learned to fold them gently. Humanity didn't master the seventh dimension through brute force. We did it by understanding its nature. In the silence that followed, the galaxy's balance of power shifted. The ESS breakthrough hadn't fired a single shot, but it had demonstrated something far more powerful than weapons. It had shown that humanity's greatest strength was their ability to see beyond the limits others accepted as absolute. Commander Stone stood on the bridge of the ESS breakthrough, watching as panic spread through the Centauri fleet. Their perfectly organized formation had broken down into chaos as ships tried desperately to track a vessel that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Centauri fleet is launching fighter squadrons, hundreds of them. They're trying to create a physical detection net since their sensors can't track us." Stone nodded, impressed by their adaptability. "Clever. But they still don't understand what they're dealing with. Begin Operation Checkmate." The ESS breakthrough's seventh dimensional core hummed louder, its energy spreading through the ship in waves of impossible light. The crew felt a slight tingle as their vessel shifted partially into higher dimensions. "All hands," Stone announced, "remember our mission. We're here to disable, not destroy. Show them that humanity's advancement doesn't mean their destruction." The fighter squadrons approached, their weapons hot. They flew in tight formations, trying to create a web of energy readings that might catch the human vessel. But they were playing chess in 2 dimensions against an opponent who could move in 7. "Execute pattern Delta 7, Stone ordered. The breakthrough moved in ways that made the fighter pilots' heads spin. It didn't just appear above or below them. It seemed to exist in multiple places at once. A single human ship danced through their formation, as if their physical presence meant nothing. On the Centauri flagship, High Commander Drake watched in growing horror as his elite pilots reported failure after failure. "It's impossible to track," one squadron leader reported. "Our shots pass through it like it's a ghost." "Because in your dimension, we partly are." Stone's voice cut through their communications. "But we can become solid enough when we need to." To demonstrate, the breakthrough partially shifted back into normal space. Its hull briefly solidified next to a Centauri dreadnought. With surgical precision, it used its phase technology to reach through the larger ship's shields and disable its main power core, not by destroying it, but by temporarily shifting it into a different dimensional frequency. The massive dreadnought went dark, its weapons and engines powerless. The crew was unharmed, but their mighty vessel had been reduced to a floating hulk by a touch. "That's one," Stone said calmly. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Commander Drake, your choice." Drake's response was predictable. "All ships, concentrate fire. Use every weapon we have." The space around the breakthrough lit up with energy weapons, torpedoes, and exotic particle beams. The Centauri unleashed enough firepower to destroy a small moon, but they might as well have been trying to catch smoke with their hands. The human vessel shifted between dimensional planes, letting the attacks pass harmlessly through the space it partially occupied. When it needed to move, it didn't push against normal space. It simply shifted to a dimension where it was already at its destination. "Second demonstration," Stone announced. He gave a nod to his crew. The breakthrough executed a complex series of dimensional shifts, appearing simultaneously at multiple points around the Centauri fleet. Before they could react, it had disabled the weapon systems of 3 more capital ships, simply by shifting their power cores slightly out of phase with normal space. "How?" Drake's voice was barely a whisper now. "How are you doing this?" "Because we stopped thinking about space travel as moving from point A to point B," Stone explained while his ship continued its work. "We realized that all points in space are connected through higher dimensions. We're not flying through your defenses. We're stepping around them through doors you can't even see." One by one, the mighty ships of the Centauri fleet fell silent. Not destroyed, not damaged, but simply rendered harmless by technology they couldn't comprehend. The fighter squadrons, realizing the futility of their attacks, began powering down their weapons. Final count, the tactical officer reported with a hint of pride. 27 capital ships disabled, including all 5 planet killers. Remaining Centauri vessels are standing down. No casualties on either side. Stone allowed himself a small smile. Signal Earth Command. Tell them the threat has been neutralized without bloodshed. The galaxy's bullies just learned that humanity doesn't need to destroy to win. The ESS Breakthrough hung in space, its hull still shimmering with dimensional energies. It had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy not through superior firepower, but through superior thinking. And it had done so without taking a single life. This wasn't just a victory for Earth. It was a demonstration of how far humanity had come. They had faced the galaxy's greatest military power and defeated it with elegance rather than brutality. The emergency session of the Galactic Council looked very different from the one held just days ago. Gone was the laughter, replaced by a heavy silence, as Ambassador Wilson stood once again at the center of the chamber. This time, the holographic displays showed recordings of the ESS Breakthrough's encounter with the Centauri fleet. As you can see, Wilson said calmly, humanity's achievement is very real. But more importantly, observe how we chose to use it. The recordings played, showing how the human vessel disabled the mighty Centauri fleet without destroying a single ship or taking a single life. The council members watched in stunned silence as their greatest military power was rendered helpless by technology they had dismissed as impossible. Grand Overseer Marcus's crystalline form flickered with complex patterns of light, a sign of deep emotional disturbance among his species. We were wrong to doubt you, Ambassador. But now we must ask, what are Earth's intentions? With such power, you could dominate the galaxy. Wilson smiled gently. If domination was our goal, would we have disabled the Centauri fleet rather than destroying it? Would I be standing here now, offering to share our understanding of seventh-dimensional physics? A murmur ran through the chamber. High Commander Drake, now stripped of his military authority, stood from his observer's seat. Share? After we tried to destroy you. Especially after that, Wilson replied. Humanity has learned from its own history. The greatest achievements come not from hoarding knowledge, but from sharing it. From lifting others up rather than pushing them down. The holographic display changed, showing technical diagrams of the seventh-dimensional drive. Not the classified details, but enough to prove that humans truly understood the science behind their achievement. What you're seeing isn't just a new form of propulsion, Wilson explained. It's a new way of thinking about space, time, and reality itself. We didn't break through the dimensional barriers. We learned to fold them gently. The council chamber erupted in excited discussion. Species that had looked down on humanity for centuries now leaned forward, eager to learn from the ones they had mocked. But there must be conditions, a delegate from the mining consortium said. Surely you won't just give away such technology. Wilson nodded. There are conditions, yes. Not to restrict access, but to ensure responsible use. Any species wishing to learn seventh-dimensional physics must first demonstrate their commitment to peaceful cooperation. The power to step between dimensions must not become a weapon of war. Grand Overseer Marcus rose from his seat, his crystalline form now glowing with formal patterns. The Council recognizes that humanity has not just advanced technologically, they have shown wisdom beyond their years. We officially withdraw all opposition to Earth's seventh-dimensional program. Furthermore, Marcus continued, his voice carrying through the chamber, we propose the establishment of a new division within the Council, the Department of Dimensional Sciences, to be headed by Earth's representatives. Their mission will be to safely guide other species into this new era of space travel. Wilson bowed slightly. We accept, with one addition. The first students of this new department should be the engineers and scientists of the Centauri Alliance. Let us turn recent enemies into partners in progress. High Commander Drake's metallic features showed surprise for the first time in recorded history. After what we tried to do. Especially after that, Wilson repeated. The greatest victory isn't defeating an enemy, It's turning them into a friend. The council chamber filled with approving sounds from 100 different species. They had expected humans to emerge as conquerors. Instead, humanity had chosen to become teachers. "There is one more thing," Wilson added, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "The ESS breakthrough proved that dimensional barriers can be crossed. But we believe that the real breakthroughs will come when we all work together, combining the knowledge of 1,000 worlds with humanity's fresh perspective." As the council session continued, news spread throughout the galaxy. The species that had been laughed at, dismissed as primitive upstarts, had not only mastered technology thought impossible, they had chosen to share it. The age of seventh-dimensional travel was beginning, and with it, a new era of galactic cooperation. The laughter had indeed stopped, replaced by something far more valuable: understanding. 1 year had passed since humanity revealed their mastery of seventh-dimensional physics. The Antarctic facility that had once housed just the ESS breakthrough now sprawled across twice its original size, transformed into the Galactic Academy of Dimensional Sciences. Director Anna Thompson stood at the observation deck, watching students from 30 different species making their way through the campus below. The sight still amazed her: crystalline beings walking alongside methane brothers in environmental suits, silicon-based life forms sharing discussions with traditional carbon-based species. "Quite a change from last year," Commander Stone said, joining her at the window. He had retired from active ship duty to become the Academy's head of practical training. "Remember when they laughed at us?" Anna smiled, turning to face him. "Now they're sending their brightest minds to learn from humans." Below them, in the main hangar, the ESS breakthrough rested among several newer vessels. Each incorporated seventh-dimensional technology, but with unique modifications based on their species' understanding of physics. The sharing of knowledge had led to improvements even humans hadn't imagined. "Latest report from the Centauri engineering team," Stone said, holding up a datapad. "They've successfully integrated their energy management systems with our dimensional folding technique. Their efficiency ratings are actually better than our original designs." "Exactly as we hoped," Anna nodded. "Different perspectives leading to better solutions. How are the joint patrol missions going?" Stone's face lit up with pride. "The mixed crews are performing beyond expectations. Turns out, when you can step between dimensions, old rivalries seem pretty small. Hard to fight over territory when you understand that space itself is more complex than we ever imagined." The facility's central computer announced the arrival of an important visitor. Minutes later, Ambassador Wilson stepped onto the observation deck, accompanied by Grand Overseer Marcus himself. "Director Thompson, Commander Stone." Marcus's crystalline form glowed with formal patterns. "The Council's annual review is complete. The success of this academy exceeds our highest projections." Wilson smiled. "Tell them the best part." Yes," Marcus continued. "The Council has unanimously approved the expansion program. 5 more academies will be established across the galaxy, each focusing on a different aspect of dimensional sciences, and all of them will be joint ventures between humans and other species." Anna felt her heart swell with pride. The original research team would never have believed this. "We spent so many years being dismissed as primitive, and now you're teaching us that progress comes not from age or traditional power, but from the ability to imagine new possibilities," Marcus finished. "The Council was wrong about humanity, and we're grateful for that error." Through the massive windows, they could see a new ship taking off, one of the Academy's training vessels. Its hull shimmered with the now familiar dimensional shift effect, but with a beautiful crystalline pattern that showed Centauri influence in its design. "The latest graduation statistics are encouraging," Wilson added. 97% success rate in basic dimensional theory. Species that once fought wars are now collaborating on scientific papers. The galaxy is changing, and for once, it's changing for the better." Stone gestured to the stars visible through the window. "We've had to update all our star charts. Turns out space looks very different when you can see it through 7 dimensions. There's so much more out there than anyone imagined. That's the real breakthrough, isn't it? Anna mused. Not the technology itself, but what it showed us about reality and about ourselves. Every species that masters seventh-dimensional travel has to first learn to think beyond their own limitations. The Academy's alert system chimed softly, announcing the start of another training session. Below them, groups of mixed-species students headed toward their classes, each carrying dreams of exploring dimensions that their ancestors never knew existed. From mockery to understanding, from conflict to cooperation, Wilson summarized. The ESS breakthrough didn't just change space travel, it broke through the barriers between species. As they watched the activity below, a new vessel appeared in the landing zone, shifting gently through dimensional planes. Its design was unlike anything seen before, a perfect fusion of multiple species technologies and insights. The ship represented everything the Academy stood for: progress through cooperation, strength through diversity, and advancement through shared understanding. The galaxy had indeed stopped laughing. Instead, it had learned to dream alongside humanity, reaching for possibilities that no single species could achieve alone. The new era hadn't just changed how they traveled through space, it had changed how they saw themselves and each other. This was humanity's greatest victory, not conquering the galaxy, but helping it grow beyond its own limits.